your host, MGD. What I am doing on this podcast, I'm interviewing people in their 20s, just hearing about their experiences, what their life goals are, where they've came from, just all about them. And I'm very excited to be with here Jake today. We are in West Virginia. He does outdoor wilderness instructor for kids. He's just teaching kids a bunch of life skills, and it's great to have him here. And I want him to get more into what he does and just ask him a bunch of different questions. So welcome, Jake.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am super stoked to be here. Super stoked to have you in West Virginia as well. I know you had been to the state before, but this part of West Virginia is just so beautiful. I didn't want you to miss out on it.
Oh, and I appreciate it. So Jake, explain a little bit more what you do for work.
Yes. So I live and work at the Spruce Knob Mountain Center in, it's the eastern part of West Virginia in the, right next to the Monongahela National Forest. Myself and another co-instructor, we do have a couple of them here on the mountain, but we will pair up to take a group of kids out into the wilderness, teach them survival skills, teach them geology, the ecology of different lands. So the ecology of caves or the ecology of the streams nearby. And we'll do just a whole bunch of outdoor fun and teaching them about community and teaching them about what it's like to be a steward of the land, someone who takes care of this planet we live on.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And honestly, like when you're describing it, like you're pretty kind of not near like a big city, right? You're kind of just out in a different area, like a little bit. I know West Virginia has a lot of like mountain areas. So like, are you away from kind of like Wi-Fi service, like, you know, that kind of thing?
We sure are. Yeah. There's not a lot of phone service out here. We live close to the top of Spruce Knob, which is the highest point in West Virginia. We do have Wi-Fi, so we can, keep in touch with our loved ones. But when I'm out instructing or when I'm out driving, there's nothing. The nearest town is half hour to an hour away, depending on where you or what you want to do and where you want to go. So yeah, it's just kind of life out here on the mountain, and you have a community.
Yeah.
And it's never lonely. It's never a dull moment, but it's an interesting change from all the lives I've lived previously.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into that. And I'm just going to ask a little bit more of your backstory. So I know you're 25 years old, and then you want to explain if you went to college and like what did you study?
Sure.
there?
Yeah, I am 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I went to college at the University of Vermont. I started in 2018, graduated in 2022. So right smack dab in the middle is when COVID touched down. That was a big part of my college experience, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went into college as a business major, funny enough, and okay. I quickly realized, no, this is not what I want to do. I just started taking basic life science classes to start off, and the more and more life science classes I took, the more and more I realized that everything on this planet is connected. All the organisms, all the places, all the natural materials, water, nutrients, etc. Everything is connected. Nothing is just by itself. Everything affects everything else, and that's kind of what made me fall in love with life sciences and teaching it. And yeah, that's
great. So that kind of love for life sciences, how did that get you to this current job? Explain a little bit, maybe the path to get here. And I'm imagining that passion was part of it.
For sure. Just having COVID really disrupt a lot of my college experience. My goal was kind of just to graduate, honestly. I was at a point in my life where I was struggling to just go through day by day. And once I graduated, I moved to Atlanta. I wanted to try a new place outside of the Northeast, and it was nice, but it was not for me. I was not doing work pertaining to my degree. I was not, I was in a relationship that didn't quite work out. And so I moved out of Atlanta a year later. It was a short but bittersweet time there. And when I moved from Atlanta back to New York, I normally when I drive long distances, I like to just book it. But I knew something in my heart was telling me that I just had to take my time. And I ended up camping in the Great Smokies of Tennessee and North Carolina. I camped out in the Monongahela National Forest, which is where we are currently, and that's what made me fall in love with the region.
Okay.
I also camped in the Red River Gorge. So after that, once I was in New York and kind of settled, I knew this was where I wanted to be, and just found job boards with positions in this area, and here we are.
That's great.
It's truly been one of the best years of my life. This place specifically, it's just very healing. And I've made some of the greatest connections of my life thus far. I just really connected with this place's mission. The interview, I felt like I knocked out the park. And
awesome.
Even before I started this position, I was up in this area for a wilderness first aid class. And it just laying down in the grass with rain pouring down on you at about 40-50 degrees.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
It was not fun, but it's crazy because that's the moment in which I realized, like, I could definitely be at home here. And I hadn't even started my job yet. So I feel it was just very serendipitous. I was meant to end up here. I was meant to meet all these people here. And I couldn't be more grateful.
No, and I think, you describing getting rained on in 40 degrees weather, like that's something, like for me, right? Or for other people in their 20s might be like, that sounds awful. It's just very different perspective for people, but some people like, that's awesome. And I know you mentioned the community and like that being like a very positive aspect. Like, would you say that, like, I want you to, get more into explaining about the community, and then also is that like your favorite part that's kind of kept you here? You think like that's your favorite part that wants you to, maybe come back in the future?
Definitely one of them. I am currently living with 7 other people in my house, and we're all moving out today and tomorrow. But like I said, it's never a dull moment. There's always people who want to go rock climbing or caving or hiking or, even just to toss the football around outside or the Frisbee, whatever it may be. Everyone is just a fun, spirited, outdoorsy individual here. We're all mountain hippies, and we all just do mountain hippie stuff. It's really been amazing to be around, and definitely that's what's going to be bringing me back next year for sure.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask too, your next year's plans. So you want to come back and be in the same community, and probably feels like college, right? To an aspect to it where you're just hanging out with a bunch of people, and you're working, of course, but you have that community aspect where I feel like now people after college in their 20s don't really have that community of like, you walk down the street and like you can, get food with your friend. Like, no, you have to drive maybe like 20 minutes or something like that. Like you kind of have that community like where everyone's right next to each other.
I'd say so. Yeah. It's an interesting dynamic because it's not I feel like when you have college, you have, a college town that goes with it. We don't really have that here. It's the same, dozen or so people that you interact with and work with and live with every day.
Yeah, no, thanks for that response. Like, it totally makes sense with the community. Like, it is definitely different. And you were saying you wanted to come back next year for coming back to do the same experience, be an instructor, and just be back in West Virginia.
Oh, absolutely.
It's great to hear.
This is where I want to be.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you found that. Like, that takes time for a lot of people in their 20s, and it's frustrating. But I guess I'm asking now, it's like, what is your biggest life goal? Like, at the moment, like, I know you're going to say you're going to continue this next year. What do you think you're going to do thereafter?
I don't think I have one specific big life goal, but all the life goals that I have at this moment in time all have to do with coming back here in the spring. I will be coming back here for the spring, summer, and fall of next year. I only had 2 seasons this year, so having 3 next year, I'm super stoked for. But yeah, this has been a really amazing but interesting chapter of my life. I feel like the past couple of years, during college and post college, have been a little tumultuous. So just being content, embracing this new chapter of my life and thriving in it. When I go back to New York for this winter, everything I do will align with the goals I have for being at this place.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of different artwork I'm doing, lots of practicing music, keeping up with my favorite people, yourself and these mountain hippies here, and
Great to hear.
studying life sciences and what I teach for my job. All those things build up to my time here in West Virginia next year. Where we are right now, I'm so thankful to call it my home, and I want to be fully prepared to make it a better place and improve upon the relationships with the people I have here, and also to improve my professional skills. I love what I do for my job. I I sometimes can't believe it's a job. And that's, it's all about enriching these children's lives. Each program we bring in is so vastly different from the program before it and the program after it. And even within a single program, all the kids are very, very different. And they have a whole bunch of different needs. So it's super important to meet them where they're at and provide challenge by choice opportunities. It's really one of our big goals to instill the idea in these kids that I can do hard things. Whether it's going rock climbing or hiking 7 miles, some of them are kind of bewildered that this is even a possibility. They're like, this is what we're doing today.
Even think of it. Yeah.
I'm not doing this today. What do you mean? And then at the end of the day, they're like, wow, I did that. I did that hard thing. And, just that sense of accomplishment in them and that gratifying experience for the instructors is unlike anything else.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. And I wanted to ask too, so you said you've had these experiences with, and it's a lot of different kids, you happen to meeting them where they're at. Has there been, you started with the program, I know the programs aren't super long, but they're, a couple days usually. And when you're in the program, have you had one particular moment with one child that's you've seen how they started in the beginning, maybe timid or shy, and then they've really grown, you've seen them grow as a person?
There's not a particular instance. I think when the students get here, they very quickly realize that they can be who they want to be, whether that's on a summer camp program or a program with their school. And they are just in this really challenging environment for them, and it just, something about that inspires them to do stuff they normally would not do, and they find themselves doing stuff they never thought they would.
Great. So Jake, have you ever felt behind compared to others at your age of 25, or just any point in your 20s have you felt behind to your peers?
There have definitely been points in my life where I feel behind, so to say, compared to everyone else. But it's a pretty common quote: comparison is the thief of joy. I came to learn that really harshly in college. Just the people I'd compare myself to were living lives that, they looked appealing, it looked flashy, but deep down I knew that what I saw was just their highlights. I don't know that person's full life story. I don't know their trials and tribulations that they went through to get to where they are right now. So it's kind of pointless to compare when you think about it that way. What they allow us to see is just so different from what they experience. And that goes for us too, right? When we post on social media or we give updates to our family and friends, we're, oftentimes it's the highlights. And
right.
We all go through such different life experiences. And I've always thought, just how can I improve mine if I'm fixating on anyone else's?
Yeah. No, and I think you're saying, like, you're giving the highlights when you're, your grandparents or your parents ask, oh, how's it going? You, like, usually say good and you explain a bit, but you don't dive in deep and I'm like, okay, this is the bad thing that happened. I hurt my foot or like this. You don't get that deep into detail. And I think that also, too, you were mentioning of the social media, that is something like we just keep seeing it. And the age of social media, you just feel like you have to put something out there. You have to, like, see something that you're comparing to, be like, okay, like that's something I want to achieve, which is good. It's good to like sometimes compare upwards. So it's like, okay, like that's someone like they're doing well. I want to do something like that. Let me learn what they're doing. Maybe if they're like even selling a course or something like some learning aspect, you're like, okay, let me figure out what they're doing exactly to get to that point. But then there's also like just comparing, just to, like they're a totally different person. Like you shouldn't compare of what you're doing. Like things take time and you're on your own life journey. So I very much resonate with that. And I think it's tough to do, right? Like you made a good point. I think it's very tough to just honestly like not look at it because it's everywhere, right? It's on social media. And like, even if you don't have social media, you still are talking to people and you still have the interactions. Even
with a very weak social media presence, I still feel compelled to post and like provide my highlights and provide my, annual update or whatever it may be. It's honestly, it can be such a trap if you're not using it intentionally, which a lot of people are not. Obviously you have businesses and, self or like accounts that, are informative to other people and help other people learn and grow. But for the most part, people are using it in vain and for propping themselves up, doom scrolling. It's whew.
Yeah. No, and
that's a whole I don't want to get trapped
in. No, I was going to say, we won't dive deep into social media there. I know social media has definitely changed a lot with now kind of the algorithm and just now you're just trying to get you on the app for a long time and you don't see your friends' posts as much. I've definitely noticed that and it's a very, look it up on articles, it's a very big thing.
The transition to short form content. Especially.
Yes, short form content, 10-second videos. And that's just the way we're in right now. So I think it can be hard because you want to put something out there for people. You want to show, like, even like you have your close friends, they know your updates, but maybe you don't see every pictures and there's still some friends like, hey, like I could connect with this person. Like I've had people I've messaged on Instagram because I saw them comment on a post and I was like, oh, I haven't talked to them in forever. It started DMing and it was a great way to connect. So there is good sides to it. But you need to be able to view it as just what you're doing, like you've mentioned, and not comparing yourself. And kind of going along with social media and that kind of thing. Well, I won't lie, this doesn't really segue into it, but I was wanting to ask you a question of your relationship status. Just wanted to get into that part because that's a huge part of your 20s. That is figuring out who you want to be with, what values do they share, where do they want to live, where do they want to go, how many kids, all that. There's tons of different discussions. So what is your relationship status, my man Jake?
I am recently partnered.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been one of the greatest honors of my life, meeting this person this past year and getting to know them. They're an exceptional human. I don't know, their infectious joy and their smile just bring the best out of anybody and everybody. They inspire me to be more bold with my art, cherish the gifts of the world, approach every day with the utmost kindness and childlike whimsy. No amount of words could ever describe just how wondrous they are and how much gratitude I have for them. They were someone who I was meant to meet.
That's awesome.
This year, and our needs and wants for the future align. Our love languages align.
Okay.
It was really interesting having those discussions and taking into account a bunch of different things for the future.
And I was going to ask if you've had those combos, because I know you just said it's been recent. So how did you two meet, and then also how long has it been?
Yeah, they were my first co-instructor on program, and from there we just clicked, connected, bonded over similar interests. When I first started this position, my first program was with them as my co-instructor, and we just connected really quickly, and we
awesome.
were silly together, but also like we howled at the full moon together on program. But also we were in very close communication and just very on the same page with the children that we were with at the time for our group.
Right.
And just, I don't know, it was just, it felt so seamless connecting with them over music and television and common interests. And it was just so easy to just be myself around them. They are, I don't know.
You're choked up. I see it, man. That's awesome, though. No, and it seems like it's only been a little bit, but it just seems, through work, you're able to be here, living down here together, so you're able to, talk a lot and share a lot of different values and everything. That's awesome. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you. I'm incredibly happy with them. They're one of my favorite humans, and I was just that going back to serendipity. I was meant to meet them.
Yeah.
I was meant to connect with them, and it's they'll be living on the other side of the world here in a couple of weeks, but
That's
even knowing that, like, I'll wake up every day just beaming, nice, knowing that I have them and all the memories from this year with them, and just so much more to come.
That's great. Where are they going?
They will be in Korea for the winter. I plan on visiting them at some point, probably around New Year's.
That'll be a fun trip. Never been, or have you been?
No, never.
Okay, cool. That would be a cool experience. And then I wanted to ask too, because this is something very important in our lives, is mental health, right? Like, you see, same thing with social media. There's some good parts, but it can also make you feel just like crap. Like, oh man, this person's doing this, and just in general, mental health is important. And I definitely think for men too, it's something not talked about as much. It's kind of just like, hey, be a man, like, you'll figure it out. It's like, no, it's like, different age where, caring about the mental health of men and women. So I wanted to ask for you, how do you take care of your mental health? What is some like skills you use that would help my listeners?
I think the biggest one for me is just intentionality. When I was going through my therapy over the past couple of years, that was just the theme of my healing, just being intentional. Everything we do, we should be doing it for a reason. And every day I take moments, even if it's for 5 minutes, just to focus on my breathing and really get in tune with my body. Do I need a meal? Do I need to drive for a bit to get a change of scenery? Do I need to exercise? When you take those intentional pauses, you can recognize poor mental health or burnout. And I want to go back to your point too, what you said was very important. Be a man, you figure it out, buck up, those types of things.
Sure.
Like, being a man is talking about your feelings and how your health is and just the things you're experiencing and going through, right? You can't have a community if you don't trust in them and, be vulnerable with them.
Yeah. And I think we're in this age of, social media and still like being able to text and call people easily, that you can have a support system. You don't have to do any of this alone. Like a lot of famous people, when they've been successful, they're like, yeah, I didn't do it by myself. Like, I had friends and family, I asked ideas off of it, and I was able to, it wasn't just them that all of a sudden invented this or like did this, or like became president or whatever, like it took a community to help.
As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, one of my favorite quotes is from their head coach, Nick Sirianni. You can't be great without the greatness of others. And I know you've been a huge influence in my life, as have my family, all the people I'm living with here. It's just that, you can try doing stuff by yourself, but you'll probably find you need more help.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of times, myself included, like, that people are just like, no, like, I don't want to bother people about it. Like, I don't want to get into that. Like, I'm just, I'll think of it myself, I'll figure it out. And some people do, some people don't. And I think if, one of those things, like, if you try and it's not working, like, try a different route. talk to people, try a different thing. And that's something for me, for some of my goals, I need to do more often, is just reach out to other people. Because I think they'll be very helpful. And then wanted to ask too about, there's a lot of different opinions about your 20s, right? Like mental health, social media, a bunch of different things. What would you say for you is like an unpopular opinion about being in your 20s? Like something that people were like, oh, I didn't really think of that, or anything like that.
Fear is dumb.
Okay.
There are definitely instances in which it is very warranted. I don't want to discount that and anyone's, really, really fearful experiences, but a lot of fear is unnecessary, because when you think about it, it's a mechanism to protect ourselves from
Fight or flight,
and just the more generalized unknown. That sort of fear takes away from our inherent curiosity. And the example I'll use is that spiders, right? Spiders, I took a class on them, and I have been around them for quite a while. So, I think they're super cool, but my dad is very scared of them. And I know a couple of other people who are super duper scared of them.
It's a very common phobia.
And so that fear might stem from them being harmful. But here in West Virginia, how many spider species do we have? Hundreds, thousands? I'm not quite sure, but only 2 of those species, the brown recluse and the black widow, are venomous. Like, as long as you know how to ID those 2 spiders, why would you be scared of the others? And it's just such a deterrent, fear. It really takes away a lot of opportunities from people, and I don't think it should, because some of the best things in my life, they are in my life because I went after them scared. This place is the epitome of that. I came here not knowing anybody, thinking I was, oh gosh, how am I going to make connections? Oh gosh, I'm going to be taking care of children in the outdoors. How are they going to,
hundreds of miles from home.
Yeah. Just, I was scared, and I knew I had to do it scared, and it's been so rewarding. Yeah.
No, and I think, the point about like the spiders, like that, like you tell that to some people, they're like, oh no. And like, but it's the same kind of thing. You'd say like, oh, like, hey, would you do this opportunity where you're not going to know people, you're not going to do this? And then like, it's interesting. Some people would be like, oh yeah, but it'd be like, wait, like, but you're afraid of spiders or something like that. Like, it like doesn't go quite together. So I definitely think you need to, I agree with the fear is definitely holding people back, and then sometimes unnecessarily holding people back. And I can get you don't like a certain thing, whatever.
For me, it was bats. Like 10 years ago when I was in the Adirondacks, I had one like swoop down near my face, and I was just like freaked out, and I never wanted to go near one after that. But part of this job is going into caves, and leading children without fear. So just like
smell your fear.
Yeah. And, I was a little apprehensive to be near them given my history with them, but I know that they don't want anything to do with me. They do their little echolocation clicks, and they steer clear of me. And I know that like shining headlamps at them in the cave can really disorient them. And I, just knowing, hey, I probably shouldn't do that if I don't want to get swooped on by a bat. And just knowing more about what you're afraid of can really alleviate that fear, and just being close in proximity to that.
Yeah. No, and I think the fear aspect, I totally agree. There's sometimes you definitely need to be like, it's like, okay, fight or flight will come up. But yeah, it definitely takes away from opportunities to just be like, can I grow as a person? Just don't want to do something because you don't know somebody there. And some guys don't go talk to girls at a bar or something like that because they're afraid, like, oh, she'll say no. It's like, why not? Like, that's the worst that's going to happen. Like, you'll be in the same spot, right? If you go up and she says no, you're in the same spot if you were just standing there, just sipping your drink or whatever, doing whatever. So I think that's a great thing. And I wanted to ask as well, what is something that you would want to accomplish in your 20s before you get to being 30? So you got 5 more years, essentially.
Yeah, I'm about halfway there-ish. Wow. getting old. Damn, that's crazy. I first and foremost, I want to marry my partner. I just know they're the human who I'm going to spend my life with, and that's priority number one. Forging a home with them and just building ourselves a nice little future. Aside from that, just to keep doing things that make me content with my life. Playing basketball, doing artwork in so many various forms, making music, and then also just continue. How should I express this? Continue fostering my relationship with the land I'm living on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just going out and exploring, learning more about where I live and the species I'm living around too. One of my co-instructors here has been super inspiring in the sense that we made a goal to do like daily species entries. So I haven't done it every single day, but I do have a ton of entries in my little booklet, and I know he does too, that we're gonna draw sketches of and include like important information about the species. And so just learning more about the world I live in.
Yeah, that's great. And I think don't really, I guess, have an overarching like, boom, I need this amount of money or like something. You're just very, I like your views for like wholesome of like, hey, like I want to experience new things, want to meet new people, want to continue growing as a person, which I think sometimes we always are just looking for a material item of like what we're going to get to, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to have this,
100%.
this house, this thing. And so we were mentioning kind of like, do you want to like, you were seeing like new things, new people, like do you want to travel as well? Is it like traveling in your goal, or are you just kind of just in general, like West Virginia?
I mean, it's traveling something I want to do, but I am super content here, and I want to be here for quite a while, based on what I can tell about myself looking inward. But yeah, like I don't have any, I don't need all the money in the world to be content with where I am, who I am, and who I'm around. And it's just, that's such a limiting belief in my opinion. There's just so much more to life than that, and so much more to life than having things.
Yeah, and making the point there's a lot more to life than that. There's been millionaires that have literally said like they have heard, whatever, like, when you get more money, or money doesn't buy happiness, right? And they're just like, whatever. And then they've gotten more money, and then they've been like, yeah, I'm still the same person. Like that doesn't make me more happy. Or some people say they're less happy. Like I know one of the comedians I've listened to, like he said that in a podcast. It's like, yeah, like I've heard that all my life, but didn't even think about it. So it's
paper.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
it's paper.
Yeah. So it's an interesting point, and I definitely think, you got to be looking for more, internal happiness rather than external items. So I really like that point. And Jake, the last question I got for you is, what is something you want to leave the listeners with? What is some advice you have? Just anything, your last, I guess, closing, not argument, but last closing statement you want to say for life in your 20s with MGD, something you want to give to other 20-year-olds.
Yeah. Kind of going off what you just said, like focusing more on intrinsic, like the quality of your intrinsic life as opposed to the extrinsic things, like just not going for as much material possessions. When we leave this physical vessel of ours, when we die, and death is a duty, no one can escape it, we can't take that paper and all those material possessions with us to the grave or to our next life, if that's something you believe. All we are remembered by when we pass away is the love that we brought into this world. Love is the way. It's transformative in every sense of the word. You're on this floating space rock for a purpose, and so you'll have multiple purposes, but one of them is to spread love. I've learned that, and every action you take builds up to your purpose or purposes. No matter what's going on in your life, it is always one day at a time, one moment at a time. There's no point in getting caught up in the past or the future, because that's time you'll never get back. Being where your feet are, being present, being intentional, and being kind are what it's all about. You can never take your words back either. And just with how impactful they are, language is our greatest gift. And that, yeah, just be good. This is probably your only chance at it.
It's true. Yeah, we don't know what happens in the afterlife and all that. And yeah, I think that those are some awesome points. And I really love the floating earth thing. I think that like that's something like people would think too deep. I'm like, oh, I got to do this. It's like, dude, you're just like you're one person. Like life can be whatever you want it to be. So you don't need to be so deep into it. And like you said, your friends and family, like when you die, they're gonna remember you by the love you gave, your energy and everything. Not like, oh, you had a house in Texas. Like, oh, cool, okay. Like they're not gonna be thinking about that, right? So, and yeah, I want to say thank you very much for coming on the podcast, Jake.
Oh, MGD, it's a pleasure. I'm super happy to be here and glad I got you down to West Virginia finally.
Yes.
It was about time. And
it's great to experience it live and interview you in person and just get to see the sounds and sights. There wasn't in this podcast, but earlier there was people just shooting and having fun outside, and you could hear it just in. And I was, trying to get a good sound quality, and Jake's like, "Hey, just that's how it is. You might just have some, you're in the middle of an area. It might just be, people miles away doing that." And I was like, "That's fine though. I like to be embraced in it, so that's great." Yeah. Anything else?
No. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Jake. This is Life in Your 20s with MGD. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And have an amazing day, my homie G's. Peace.
Peace.